welcome back to the talkSPORT MMA channel. My name's Kweku of Farah. Before we get started, make sure you're liking, commenting and subscribing to the YouTube channel. We're slowly growing the community. We'll bring you more uploads every single day, so make sure you hit that bell notification button. But let's get started. I'm joined by Wrexham's very own Aron Aby ahead of his world title flyweight fight for Oktagon April 20th. How you doing, Aron?
I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me, man. Obviously, I know you're in camp right now. It's a big fight for that vacant flyweight title. I want to start from the beginning, though. A Wrexham boy, how did you get into MMA?
At the time, I was actually playing for Wrexham on a part-time contract. So I was like training with the team 3 days a week and going to college the other 2 days. And then during this time, my uncle was used to train in mixed martial arts. He used to go out every summer to America and train with Eric Poulsen. So when he come back after that, he just started a class once a week for charity with all the proceeds going to cystic fibrosis, which was what I was born with. So I just started going to that class and it just grew from there, really.
Nice. You mentioned you played football for Wrexham. You also played for, is it the Wales national team, up to youth level? Played with the likes of Aaron Ramsey. What made you kind of pick MMA over football? Because you're clearly good at both.
I think a bit of like how everything aligned up as well. I was at a professional club before Wrexham who didn't take me on a full-time contract because you had to go and like live in the college with them at the time, and they didn't want to take a risk with me having cystic fibrosis, and so I ended up leaving, and then that's how I ended up with Wrexham, and then obviously got into the MMA journey, and it just started like taking over. Really, there was times I was at football training, missing MMA, and I'd be like just thinking about being at MMA. And it got to a point ended up playing in the Welsh Premier League and stuff, and I just found more of a take into that, and it was just helping with my health as well, and I feel like it just took over me.
And you mentioned cystic fibrosis there. For those viewers who don't know what that is, can you explain what that condition is and how it impacted your early life?
Yeah, well, cystic fibrosis is a genetic inherited disease that you get from your parents if they've got one of the faulty genes, and it affects mainly the lungs and the digestive system. By like it clogs them up with like thick, sticky mucus, making it like harder to breathe or digest food, weight gain, and everything. So that was something. I was born with and had to live with throughout my life, really.
And that must make it pretty difficult. Obviously, you're fighting down the flyweight. In terms of how it affects your weight and how it affects your cardiovascular output, has it made it quite difficult to deal with it while being an MMA fighter?
I would say that I haven't really known any different. Uh, so, like, my lungs have always been my lungs. However, over the past couple of years, there's a new medication come out called Trio, which isn't a cure for cystic fibrosis, but it just like gives that faulty gene a little bit of a boost in how it works. And I feel like I've had a improvement in my lung function since that, where I've been like, oh, okay, this is completely different than how I thought it used to be. There's been times I've had illnesses growing up, and putting on weight has always been tough for me. But I'd never want to use it as an excuse or anything. I've just always had this body, so it's playing these cards the best way I can.
And your career's been marked by you overcoming things, whether it's overcoming difficulties in the octagon, outside the octagon. One of those difficulties was in 2019 where you were diagnosed with testicular cancer, stage 3. Can you talk about that and how you overcame that and how much that impacted your career at the time as well?
Yeah, that was probably the toughest thing I've ever had to go through. The accepting of it, the battling it, the chemotherapy, because like I've spent all my life trying to look after my body and keep everything healthy, and for me, like when you go for chemotherapy, you have to like sign a form with all the negative effects of it. And every week I would go there and just be like, read the bit about what happens to your lungs when I would have the chemotherapy, and I just wouldn't sign it. And I go back the next week, and with the thought of me starting the chemotherapy, and again I couldn't do it, so I had that battle to go through. Cancer ended up not just being in my testicle, but spreading throughout my body as well, and caused a lymph mass, which is right by where the blood goes to and from the heart. And only one surgeon would do the operation in the UK, so then I had to wait to get an operation with him. So it was just a battle all the way through, but I feel like I got through it because of everything I've had to go through before and the people around me, and it's only made me stronger. Sometimes things that are really bad for you like that end up being good for you if you ended up surviving it, because you can take a lot of lessons from it and learn from it. But it was like 2 years of being told to write my will with my parents, being told if I had one more lot of chemotherapy, my lungs wouldn't cope with it. Uh, Being asked, do I want end of life care or another lot of chemotherapy? So just everything like that. But I'm fortunate to get out the other side of it and be be back on that journey, which I am now.
Well, mate, it's good to hear that you are on the other side of that. And yeah, well done for getting through that, because it's not easy. And like you mentioned, it was touch and go, but you are fully on the other side of it. And if we take things back into the Octagon, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that this is your second crack at the Octagon Flyweight title. First fight was against Elias Garcia. It went his way. I watched the fight. You were dominating it up until the second round, and then obviously got stopped because of a pretty horrific cut above your eye. How frustrating is a fight like that, which you are dominating, you've got a chance to win gold, but it gets stopped because of a doctor stoppage?
Really, really frustrating. When I commit to going in that cage, I'm basically committing my life. I'm going in there, giving it everything I've got. I'm prepared to not come out with it, and it wasn't like I tapped. Uh, it wasn't like I was knocked out or put to sleep. I was up on all three judges' scorecards. I was up 2 rounds. The cut happened in the first round, and I ended up still winning the second round. So it wasn't impeding my performance or the way I was fighting. Uh, I can understand a little bit of the safety things, but after, like, one of the doctors says you might have needed surgery on that on the above the eye to heal the skin. But for me, like, I know those risks before going in there. If I was losing the fight and getting dominated, then I would have been able to, accept it a little bit more. So it was really frustrating, and I feel like it's a typical outcome in my life, which was to happen. Getting so close to that dream, and have it taken away from me. But we're here now, where we are today, with another shot at that gold.
Like you said, another shot at that gold. You take on Sam Creasey. He's a man that you fought before when you were both in Cage Warriors. On the Elias situation, you campaigned to rematch him because the first fight happened in November. You got back into the Octagon against Christopher Daniel in January, but you did campaign to fight Garcia again in the rematch because of how that fight went. Couldn't make that happen. They eventually stripped him for the title. Do you see Garcia as somebody that you'd fight further down the line if you do win this title?
I don't think he'll fight me. I
Why? Why
think
not? Why not?
honestly, I do not know. Like, after the fight, he admitted I was 2 rounds up. He said he would do the rematch in January. He bottled that one, and then he said he would do it in April, and he bottled that one. So I honestly don't know where his head's at or anything. It's not like he's even like messaged me saying, "Listen, Aaron, I've got a niggle," or etc., etc. I just think I honestly I don't think maybe he doesn't want to fight in Europe again, and he wants to stay in America. But I can't see him coming back to Oktagon, and I definitely can't see him fighting me again. So for me, I've just got to put him to the back of my mind, and you know, like I said before, the Garcia fight, it wasn't about me v him. It was about me getting this belt, becoming a world champion, and being able to use that to motivate and inspire people. You know, the story's a lot bigger than me v Garcia. So he's gone now, out my head, and we move on.
And you did move on. You moved on in January. You took on Christopher Daniel, beat him, unanimous decision. What did you make of your last performance in the cage?
To be fair, it was good. It's never perfect. Uh, Again, I feel like I got to show my improvements on stuff I've been working. And Christopher Daniels is a really good fighter, like World Combat Jiu-Jitsu champion, BJJ brown belt from a really good gym in America. Uh, so it was a good win for me, and a good performance.
And like I mentioned, you take on Sam Creasey 20th of April in Birmingham for that vacant flyweight title. I'm going to be there cage side to watch that performance. Like I said, you took him on, or you fought him back in Cage Warriors. Unfortunately, you were on the wrong side of that result. How do you ensure that the next time that you two meet in the cage, which is in a couple of weeks, that you get the result that you want and make sure you get the gold wrapped around your belt?
Uh, for me, probably after all my losses, if you would have said to me, would you fight the same person next week? I would say yes, other than the Sam Creasey fight, because I feel like it was a dominating performance by him. Truthfully, I think he was skillfully better than me, but also like way heavier than me. At the time, I wasn't cutting weight. I actually ate breakfast and then stepped on the scale before I fight him. So the size played a big part in it. Uh, so, can I be sure I'm going to win in 2 weeks? I can't be. All I can be sure about is I'm going to go and give it the best I've got, and everything I've got. Do I think I've closed the gap? Yes, I definitely think I've closed the gap. Have I closed it enough? Uh, Time will tell. I feel like, Octagon have gone, and we've got the best flyweight outside of the UFC in Sam Creasey. But again, this is about me proving I'm the best flyweight in Europe. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the challenge. And again, it wouldn't be an Aron Aby story if they got me someone who wasn't ranked number one in Europe. So for me, there's that I'm a lot bigger now. So that's going to play a part in the fight. I'm a more developed fighter. I was only like 18 months post chemo last time I fought him, and I went down to 49 kilograms. So I was still working my way up. And a lot of Sam's success comes from his physical presence and his size and his technique to go with that as well. So again, it's a tough fight for me, and I'm just going to make sure I show up and give it everything I've got in Aron Aby style, and whoever gets their hand raised at the end of the night will be the best fighter.
And you mentioned that Sam is one of the best fighters outside of the UFC, or one of the best flyweights outside the UFC. One of the best flyweights in the UFC is Mo Makayev. I had the opportunity to speak to him a couple of weeks ago. Guys, make sure you check that out on the talkSPORT MMA YouTube channel. Quick plug there. But you've trained with Mo Makayev before. What's he like as a fighter, and what's his strengths, and what makes him one of the best flyweights in the world?
Mo's great, I'm not sure if you spoke to him before or after, because I've been doing some rounds with him down at Aspire for this fight. I've trained with him in the past as well, and despite his technical ability, one of Mo's great aspects is his mindset. The things he's gone through growing up, but how he like commits himself to training and being one of the best in the world. You know, he's got technical and physical gifts. Don't get me wrong, but he would, without that mindset, he wouldn't be where he is today. And you only have to listen to him speak about how he's going to be the UFC world champ by a certain age, and how he sets his goals, and he believes in it. But you know, when he's talking and saying these things, he's putting in the work to back it up as well. And I've like I said, I've been fortunate to know Mo and train with Mo, and I would say that what makes him stand out for the rest. And when he says he's going to be world champion by this date, you know, I believe him.
So do I. So do I. There's been a boom in UK MMA at the moment. Why do you think that is? Why do you think so many people are now attracted to getting in there and trying their hand at fighting in the cage?
I think there's a boom in the sport in general everywhere. I do think the UK, it's growing because again of people like Mo KF and the other great UK fighters who are doing stuff inside and outside the UFC. You can look at like PFL as well, Brendan, Dakota doing good things. But I also think as the sport grows and more young kids get in it, get involved in it, and have those role models that they can look up to, it's only going to bring fans from everywhere to be involved in it, because you know it's a sport at the end of the day, and it's an entertainment sport, and I feel like people are getting bigger connections with fighters now as well. Uh, you know, because of the presence and the way it's growing, and the media, guys like yourself and other media outlets who are helping tell stories of the fighters, because that's a big thing I think we're fighting. Like sometimes, like I watch it as a fighter, and I maybe not caring who they are and their stories involved. I'm just looking for techniques and what people are doing, or can I rob this, or that was really nice. But you know, the fights I get more invested in is the story of the people and the person behind that fighter. So I think it's growing that way because of the media as well, and I only think it's going to keep growing. And you've got to give your hats off to Oktagon since they've come to the UK and Europe, how they're growing. You know, they got 2 football stadiums plans this year as well. So it's massive for the sport, and it's massive for people like myself to have those opportunities because of the shows and how they're growing.
Very well said, mate. Before I let you go, I know you've got training this evening. I want to play a little game. Can we have a little bit of fun?
Yeah, of course.
You're a man who played football, and also you're an MMA fighter. Can you give me your top 5 footballers that you think would be decent MMA fighters?
Ooh, top 5. I'm going to be biased though, and then pick all my favourites. But you know, I've probably got to go Roy Keane.
Nice.
We've got to probably go Vinnie Jones for that. I'm probably gonna have to go. I'm gonna give. I'll go Steven Gerrard.
Nice. What
Uh,
does Stevie G bring to the Octagon? Do you reckon?
just his tenacity, I reckon he could probably 2 foot someone and pop their knee out and get a win that way. So I'll stick him in there. Uh, so talking tough people, I'll maybe go James McLean because he plays for
Nice.
Wrexham, and I know he likes a bit of MMA, and I've seen him in the bag quite a bit on his Instagram. And I'll also go Ollie Palmer because I give him a session on the pads, and within like 10 minutes, it was like he had been doing it for like a year. So he picked it up really fast, and I think he's like 6'4", so it'll be a problem as well.
That's a very solid list, mate. Thank you so much for joining me. Good luck ahead of your fight on April 20th. Like I say, it's a flyweight or vacant flyweight title fight against Sam Creasey, a man that you fought before, and hopefully this time results can go your way. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to the talkSPORT MMA channel. We'll be back with more content very, very soon.